shout out goes out to our current channel members. If you were interested in picking up a channel membership for as little as $1.99 a month, head over to my channel profile and hit the join button to view all of the available perks. Thanks. Continuing the trend I've been running with over the past few days, in this one I want to discuss a massive part of Crystalized I found to be seriously just underwhelming, while at the same time I get so confused when thinking about this on a slightly larger scale, and I think this is something almost all of you watching are going to agree with too, so without wasting any further time in this intro, let's talk about it. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, Oni Lloyd, and just Lloyd unlocking Oni dark powers of sorts, is something that I'm sure all of us can agree was one of the most hyped up aspects of Crystalized. And this isn't just from the fans or the community, but by LEGO themselves. Oni Lloyd was hugely hyped up and talked about to the point where an entire minifigure was dedicated to this version of Lloyd. This is precisely why Crystalized spent quite a lot of time focusing on Oni Lloyd's kind of outbursts of rage at certain points in the season, to the point where it was kind of becoming its own little arc of sorts, and it was quite obvious that, at least to us viewers at this point in time, it was going to be building up to Lloyd finally harnessing his powers and would be unlocking this Oni form to presumably have a chance at defeating the Overlord. That's what the arc looked like, at least, when we were first seeing those scenes in which, for example, Lloyd had this huge outburst of rage towards Harumi, broke out of the cage and started attacking her. That was like the start of this ongoing arc that we all assumed would be a big focus later on, due to how much it was already hyped and talked about, and also got its own minifigure. So we all assumed this would be a major part of the season. However, this ultimately ended up being quite possibly one of the most underwhelming Ninjago plot points of all time. It's quite the dramatic statement to make, but let me just explain. It had all of this build-up throughout the season, just for Oni Lloyd to become an actual thing for, let's say, 15 to 20 seconds at the most, and that was literally it. Now, whenever I think about this, I just think to myself, why give it this much attention and hype, and why even have scenes where Lloyd is slowly leaning over to his Oni side and is, you know, using his anger to attack people? Why do all of that if Oni Lloyd is going to be practically useless towards the end? Like, he was literally a thing for about 15 to 20 seconds, as I just said, and then he just sees his own reflection in the crystal, and just suddenly, that's the end of the form. It's all disappeared after that point, and it's never even touched on later on. It just makes absolutely no sense to me why they'd even try and act like this was all an arc. It's like a prime example of LEGO just clickbaiting us into this, thinking it was something much bigger than it actually was, and then in the end, absolutely nothing happens. It just feels really, really weird that they'd go to all this trouble to make a whole minifigure out of it, include this entire plot point, arc type thing throughout the whole story of Crystalized, and then ultimately it's just not used at all, and it's not even used to defeat the Overlord. I just do not see why this was the thing at all, and this is exactly why I think it's one of the biggest wasted opportunities in all of Ninjago, just because of how much they completely wasted this. I think it would have been a lot more meaningful for Crystalized to have Lloyd basically become the balance himself, defeat the Overlord for good this time, and that could be it. It would add a lot of better aspects to Crystalized, if that's the right term, just off the top of my head, and it would just be better, I guess, and it would give Crystalized a more complete aspect to it, and it would just be much more better. Everything would feel more complete and well-rounded, but ultimately Oni Lloyd was practically useless and did absolutely nothing, and for that reason I'm really, really disappointed with this, to the point I think it's completely dumb, hence why I'm making today's video in the first place. What did you guys think about Oni Lloyd though? Did some of you actually like it? Did you dislike it? Let me know down below in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this one here, drop a like on it, subscribe for more, and hit that notification bell so that you can be the first to watch my new content whenever I do post it. With this being said, I'll see you all soon for my next one. Goodbye.